Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us. This is the HCSS School Counseling for Students Social Emotional Needs webinar. I am Jessica McIntyre, the middle school counselor at Hampden Charter for grades 6 through 8.
And hello, I'm Patrick Lewis, high school counselor for grades 9 through 12. So we'll start with a quick counseling services overview. Here at HCSS, Mrs. McIntyre and I are the two school counselors. We are here to help with in-school, social, emotional, academic, behavioral, college and career goals and needs. We support our students throughout their school day to help ensure that they're able to access their classes and have happy, healthy, and successful school experiences. A lot of what we do is collaborating with other teachers, parents, and in cases where it's necessary, outside providers such as therapists and social workers. We are always happy to speak to parents. We enjoy the collaboration and learning about your students on a more personal level as only parents can provide. And while Mrs. McIntyre and I cannot diagnose or treat specific mental health issues, we can support by providing information about resources available in the community and information on how to access appropriate supports outside of school.
So at HCSS, the portal that we use is called PowerSchool. This is something that staff and students have access to. PowerSchool is a great tool where students can track their grades. We look at attendance. We can track any missing assignments. It's also a great place where we keep track of students' praise points. So PowerSchool is something that we all use at Hampden Charter, and you as a parent also have your own PowerSchool login account. So you can also access this information, so you can keep track of your students' attendance, such as absences and tardies. You can also see their grades as they're updated in real time. And it's also a great way for you to connect with your students' teachers if you have any questions for them. If you have any concerns or questions about how to use the PowerSchool login, feel free to contact our IT department. Their email address is provided here. It's itdepartment@hampdencharter.org. Or if you have any questions, you can always reach out to your student-specific teacher as well.
Some other ways that we provide support in addition to social, emotional, and academics include some of the following. So college and career counseling is a really big part of our program at HCSS. As the high school counselor, I work with students starting in 9th grade, and as they progress through and learn more about college and different opportunities for their post-secondary career, we get more in depth into researching different types of colleges, different career paths. In the junior and senior year, we start working on creating college applications using the Common App and other programs. We help the seniors with the entire process of creating the application, filling it out, selecting colleges, writing essays, submitting the application and any follow-up material. We also help students with a standardized test preparation. So junior year, students will take the PSATs here at HCSS, and in the spring semester of junior year and the fall semester of senior year, students will take the SATs. And we do not offer the SATs here at Hampden Charter, but we do help students register for the SATs at other area high schools. We also have fee waivers for 2 test administrations that are available to all students. In addition to college, career, and standardized test preparation, we are also, Mrs. McIntyre and I are the 504 coordinators for the entire school. So any student who has a need for a 504 plan, we will be the ones creating that and monitoring it and helping in any way we can. At the high school level, I am also in charge of work permits. So when your sons or daughters go out to get their first job or even second, third, fourth jobs, depending on how many jobs they jump to, I will help them with their work permits and provide that for them. And also we help students with elective selection and helping them get the best schedule they possibly can have to help them progress throughout high school and middle school. And in addition to this, as I said, we're here for any type of in-school support we can provide. So anything not listed here, if we can help, it's what we're here for and what we do.
So there are different levels of support for our students. There are certain things that we as school counselors are able to do and provide here within the school building. And in certain circumstances, some students need a higher level of support when it comes to more intensive mental health concerns. So some of the things that we are able to help with here at school in this environment is working through peer conflicts or helping students navigate through any type of friendship issues. This is something in middle school and high school that we see quite often. Mr. Lewis and I help to navigate and mediate peer conflicts regularly at school. Engaging in any type of peer conflict is pretty normal developmentally for students of middle school and high school age. So it's something that they are learning every day. When they're around their peers, they're bound to have, social disagreements or, minor issues. So that is something that we help with on a regular basis. We help students navigate through their feelings when it comes to peer conflicts and also provide an outlet for them if they need someone to vent to or talk to. And oftentimes we conduct a lot of mediation style resolution. So we help provide them with the skills necessary to tackle any type of peer conflict issue. We also help with school-related stress, whether that be a friendship-related issue or testing anxiety when it comes to quarterfinal times. We have a lot of students who get very anxious with testing, so we help those students. Students that are struggling in a class or with a particular subject, if their grades aren't where they would like them to be, that can create a lot of stress for our students. So we work with them through those types of things, as well as any mild anxiety or at times any mild depression, students who are dealing with a lot of circumstances, whether it be in school, out of school, a mix of both. To them, what might be a smaller concern to us is their whole world to them. So we do offer support to our students here in the building on a daily basis. In addition to that, Mr. Lewis and I also encourage parents to connect with outside providers if necessary. A lot of times students have, bigger concerns such as more serious depression or anxiety that they need the help of a mental health professional, such as a therapist or a licensed mental health clinician. So we do encourage parents to seek support from outside resources as well in times of students, mental health concerns such as depression, anxiety, any type of self-harming comments or behaviors. We always seek outside support for that. Students who have experienced any type of trauma in their past, it's very important that they have those outside providers and outside supports to help process those feelings with them. So they know that they have our support here at school, whether it be from us as the counselors or a teacher that they trust and can go to, but they also have that support outside of school as well. So a number of our students that we work with do have outside providers, and Mr. Lewis and I are more than happy to connect with those therapists if a parent wishes that we do that. And we can get to that a little bit later in our slideshow about how to do that. But we're more than happy to connect with any outside supports that your student might have, just so they feel better supported across all areas of their life.
So some signs to look for when considering the mental health of your children. And the most important thing is to keep in mind that you know your son and daughter better than anybody else. You know their behavior, you know their moods, you know what they look like on a good day and a bad day. After the last year and a half or so that we've had, there's been a lot of new behaviors that we've noticed at school and that parents have noticed at home. And every change in behavior could be concerning, but not every change means that something bad is happening or that there's some major issue. But some things to look out for are changes in mood, behavior, demeanor, becoming disinterested or disengaged in things that used to bring your student joy, a change in academic effort, whether it's no longer seeming to care about their grades or the work that they're putting in, excessive tardies or discipline issues at school. And some students, some adolescents will feel more comfortable writing about how they feel. They might have a journal, they might want to write a note. Sometimes it can be hard to verbally express how they're feeling, especially when it's something that seems as big and as heavy as mental health. It has been a really tough year for a lot of students. Many of them have been isolated from their peers and from being around others. And they're experiencing this big change in their life, coming back into school, coming back into an environment where they're around other people their age and adults, and having new expectations as small as just having to wear a uniform again when they spent a year possibly spending most of the days in comfortable clothes and being in that home environment. So please be aware of any changes in your child's behavior or mood. And if you do notice anything, if you do have any concerns about their well-being or mental health, contact your pediatrician or mental health provider, or there's services available, including BHN Crisis, which we'll get into that information in a little bit. If you have general questions, feel free to reach out to Mrs. McIntyre or myself, and we can help direct you in the right direction. But if you have an immediate concern, absolutely contact the pediatrician or mental health provider right away.
So our generation of middle school and high school students, it's safe to say that most of them have access to a social media account. Pretty much every student that we meet with on a daily basis has a cell phone that can access the internet and different social media sites. So it is very important as a parent and as adults in their life that we provide support when it comes to using social media sites. When everyone was on lockdown and students had to be quarantined for an extended period of time, they were cut off from a lot of access to their peers and their social circles. So having the ability to connect in that way via social media or texting, it was a great way for them to keep their social circle going during the pandemic. However, there are a lot of studies that show that there are a lot of negative impacts due to social media as well, whether it be poor sleep quality because they're staying up too late on their phone, or different content on social media that can contribute to potential depression or anxiety. And then of course there's always a risk of cyberbullying happening online. A lot of times we find when we're dealing with peer conflict or friendship issues at school, it generally does stem from something that took place outside of school, particularly texting or group chats or social media. We're finding that a lot of students are engaging in negative behaviors or negative peer interactions on social media sites, and then that does carry into their school day. It affects them in class if they have an issue with a peer in class who might have sent them something inappropriate or upsetting. So a lot of our peer drama that starts on social media does make its way into school. So that is something that we're working on, teaching students how to navigate those situations and how to safely use social media sites. Some of the negative impacts of social media, a lot of students are easily comparing themselves to other people, whether it's people that they know in their personal life or somebody that they see on social media, whether it be a celebrity or a social media star. They often compare themselves, and that can create this negative self-image or negative self-worth in a young person. So that's definitely something that we see at this age level. Developmentally, they're looking at content from people who are posting their highlight reel, their best of everything. So when a student is not necessarily living up to what they think they should, they may feel inadequate, they may become depressed, they may become anxious, they may develop this unhealthy self-image, and that can lead to a lot of other negative impacts as well. Isolating themselves, not wanting to be around their friends because they feel that they aren't, good enough. So it's definitely, there's a lot of research out there that is available that says how someone, of a middle school or high school age developmentally, like what social media and what the internet can do to impact them. In addition to that, I do work with a lot of students who are very into online gaming. It's a hobby of theirs, they really enjoy it, and it's something that they look forward to doing when they're outside of school. But something just to keep in mind as a parent, a lot of students do tell us that they have gaming friends, people that they communicate with over their gaming consoles. So oftentimes I'll ask them if this is somebody that they know in real life, and usually it's a friend of theirs at school that they're playing with, but other times it is somebody that they just happen to connect with over the internet. So a lot of times I do have to remind students to make sure not to give out personal or private information or anything that gives out their location. So those are conversations that I do have pretty frequently with students in middle school. So just be mindful again of what social media apps your child is using and how they're using it and who they're communicating with. It's important to keep track of that as much as possible. And a good way to do that is just to build that positive relationship with your child so they're feeling comfortable communicating these things with you. Because as we know, social media sites and the internet definitely has the ability to create some negative impacts on young people.
So Mrs. McIntyre highlighted, I think, the best way to keep your teenager safe online, and that's to keep the lines of communication open and to frequently talk about internet safety, so that your sons and daughters are comfortable speaking to you about what's happening online. In addition to, some of the traditional forms of internet communication and texting and that sort of thing. A lot of our students are getting involved or have accounts on social media sites such as Instagram and TikTok. Many of us have heard about the TikTok challenges that have been in the news lately that encourage students to do unsafe or unkind things at school or in their community. On Instagram and on TikTok, many of the accounts can be operated anonymously, which means that students may have harmful things posted about them online and will not know who it is that posted it or where it's coming from. And we've seen that this year more so than others. We think that part of that is due to the fact that our students have operated online for so long, and for the last year or so especially, their whole lives have been online. So now we're adjusting to being back in person, but Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, these are some of the more popular ones to look out for. They all have means of private messaging. Some of them are more popular than others, but just because your student is using Instagram does not mean that they're not also communicating with other people, whether it's classmates or in some cases, people that they have not met in or do not know in real life. It is important also to know what's available for support if you're concerned about what's happening on social media or on the internet. So as a school, we encourage our students to reach out when something does happen online. And typically what we see is people speaking negatively or using hurtful language about someone online, and they post it. And our students will often take screenshots and bring it to us and say, here's what was posted about me. If we know who was responsible, we can address it with that student. We can tell them, this is not an acceptable behavior, and we can contact the parents and say, just so you know, this is what's happening. Please encourage your son or daughter to discontinue the behavior. But oftentimes we don't know who it is that's responsible for making the posts. In either case, it's important that the student who's being victimized blocks the account so that they're no longer seeing what's happening, and also report the account to the social media platform, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever it might be. Report it to them directly so that the account will get shut down. There's also the option if there are threats especially being made, or if there's harmful and harassing language being used, you can report it to the non-emergency line at your local police department, and they can advise you how to proceed. Unfortunately, social media is such a big part of young people's lives, and they experience a tremendous amount of anxiety, depression, and sleeplessness even. It can affect their physical health because of things that happen online, because of their things being said about them on social media accounts. So again, the most important thing you can do as a parent or guardian is to make sure your lines of communication are open and comfortable with your student. Make sure you're frequently discussing their online footprint and what it means to be safe online and what to do if things become unsafe. Also, for some of the older students, colleges are now in the business of looking into applicants' social media accounts and online identities. A quick Google search can often come up with a few unflattering results if someone has a very big digital footprint. So there's countless reasons to be safe. If you have any questions, if you have any concerns, please let us know and we can advise you on ways you might proceed or options that are available.
There are a number of mental health resources that we as the school counselors will utilize. We also want to share this with parents because these are also resources that, if necessary, you can use as well. One major resource that we use here at school is BHN Crisis. The number is provided 413-733-6661. BHN Crisis also has an office located in Springfield. This is a 24-hour line that you can use. The office location is not open 24 hours a day, but the phone line is. And I can imagine as a parent, getting a phone call from the school counselor saying that, we feel that we need to utilize Crisis for your child. That can be very alarming. But I do want to just provide some information that Crisis is a really fantastic resource. You can absolutely use this resource at home as well. If you're ever concerned about the safety or mental well-being of your child, you can absolutely utilize this phone number. Crisis will, dispatch a mental health professional who will come out to your location. If that's okay with you, they'll come out to your location, they will meet with your child, they will meet with you, get some background on their history, their medical history, and pretty much just take like an intake as far as what the concern is at the moment. And from there, they use that assessment to provide further resources. So, whether it's a more minor issue and they feel that your child could benefit from meeting with a therapist, they'll provide you with information on how to get that set up and they'll make referrals for a therapist. There's also different levels of support, different tiers of support. So if, a crisis worker comes out and feels that your child needs a little bit more intensive support, they'll make those referrals as well. But it is a really fantastic resource. If you're ever contemplating whether or not, that's a right move for you at home, if you're struggling with your child at home and you're not sure if that's the right move for you, you can absolutely ask them questions. They won't come out without your consent. So you can ask them questions. You can reach out to, Mr. Lewis or myself, Mrs. McIntyre, during the school day to say, I'm pretty concerned about my student. I'm not sure if this is an avenue I should take. I just want to get some insight from you. We're happy to have those conversations with you. The pediatrician is someone that we often encourage parents to connect with if we're seeing that a student might be struggling with, any type of anxiety or depression that is increasing, that we're noticing. We'll definitely encourage parents to connect with their pediatrician. That's another resource that can connect you to mental health professionals. They're able to set out referrals for therapists or other mental health support. So keeping your pediatrician involved in your child's health is very important, and that includes mental health as well. As I had mentioned previously, Mr. Lewis and I work quite a bit with outside providers such as therapists. We are huge advocates for therapy, and we think it's such a fantastic support for a student to have. And obviously it is a personal choice that families have to make together if that's what they want for their child. But we are more than happy to connect with any student's therapist. We regularly connect with outside providers to have a better picture of what that student might need for support. We'll often collaborate on different goals that they have that they're working on outside of school in therapy sessions, and we'll make sure that we'll connect with those students in school to make sure that they're feeling safe and supported in school as well. So if your child does have a therapist, or if you're considering getting one for your child, and if you would like for either one of us to reach out to their therapist, we're more than happy to do that. We can provide you with consent forms that do give us permission to make those connections. Again, it's just adding to your child's support system. You know, we're here for them, we're here for families, and the more support that we can provide together, the better experience we can give your child at school. So it's really helpful to have the in-school support for your student, but also have that outside support for them as well. And when we can come together and collaborate, it just further benefits your student in all areas across their life. So these are just, you know, a few mental health resources. There is a lot of data and research out there available as well. If you are trying to find mental health support for your child and you find that you're having a hard time, and you might not be hearing back from your child's pediatrician right away, you know, certainly feel free to connect with us and we can help any way that we can. But here's just a small snapshot of some resources for you. We want to thank you for joining us today. Again, we're so grateful for parent support. You know, we're all just different pieces of this puzzle that are here to support your student for you. We love connecting with your kids. We love connecting with you and collaborating with you. And the more people that we can have on this team, the better outcome we'll have for your student. So anytime you have any questions or concerns, you can feel free to connect with myself or Mr. Lewis via email. That's a great way to reach us. You can also call us by phone as well. And we're just happy to provide support and to further build those relationships with your kids. So thank you again for joining us, and we hope you have a great evening.